Good morning.
Good morning.
If I start moving my hands around too much and the microphone moves away from the voice, just wave and flag me down so I get back on target. The problem is I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, so we all learned to speak with our hands more than we had to say with our voices. The title of my talk is Augustinian Pedagogy, an Asia-Pacific Moment. I believe that we are here at a sacred time, and as the bishop reminded us, a sacred place, meeting sacred people. And that confirmed to me that I wasn't completely crazy in thinking in these directions. I am very appreciative of people welcoming me and feeling honored because they believe that I am this special expert coming with the words of wisdom. That's a bit daunting because I worry that I will let you down. But I see it as a time to look at where we have been and where we are going. Being here is a privileged opportunity for me. I realize many of you have said to me how privileged it is, you believe, for me to be here, but I'm privileged to be here with you. There is no gathering of Augustinian schools in the United States that would have 30 schools. Because we don't have 30 schools. In all of North America, we only have 10 secondary schools and 2 at the university level, a college and a university. Because for us, college means university. So I suspect that you teach and interact with somewhere between 3 and 10 times as many students as we do. So if I have something to say and it has an impact on you, it will impact many more people than it would if I stayed in the United States. Because this is a bigger pond in which to throw the pebble, for the ripples to go out. I want to thank the APAC Organizing Committee, the leadership of APAC in general, the Education Commission for being brave enough to want to do this and for seeing it through, and for bringing us all together. I'm glad that you're here because it's an opportunity for me to be here. It's also an opportunity to share our Augustinian family experience. I'll talk about that more in a couple of minutes. But when we gather in the United States, it is only the OSA Augustinians. We do not have the different congregations like you do who have different traditions around the same values. I think it's also a time for us to look forward and challenge ourselves to expand and deepen what our family has to offer. If I am in the business of Augustinian pedagogy, I need to thank Father Eustachio Perdón, because he pushed and cajoled people in our order to have an education commission. I was thinking of some of these things around the year 2000 because I was asked to at Merrimack College in the United States. But I really got going on this because Eustachio pushed for the General Council to have the commission gathered people on it, and I was blessed to be one of the members, which enabled me to be part of the basic elements of Augustinian Pedagogy book, as well as the first Congress in 2005, which then birthed the next Congress in Lima, Peru. That was in Rome, the first one. Second one in Lima, Peru in 2012, and the one that Sister talked about in 2017 at Villanova. Neither Peru nor Villanova would have happened if a Filipino hadn't pushed and not given up. But the people he was dealing with were tough. They were focused on the Augustinianum, and he was telling them, we have all these schools we need to gather together and help. So I want to thank him publicly for getting me into it. We have special opportunities in this Congress as been identified by Father Andrew. There's a special reality for dialoguing about Augustinian pedagogy, but also from an Augustinian family perspective. We share the experience of Augustine, but we look at Augustine in little different ways. And those differences can be helpful, because they can expand the way we think of it in our own little places. We have different congregational traditions that are good to bring forward and to share. Different ways we approach things, to be able to hear from one another, because those differences may put a spotlight on what we know and understand it in a better way. We also represent different cultures. I come from an area that talks about diversity and cultural differences, but does very little about it. In fact, it tries to make everyone homogeneous, same, with little references to culture. But we don't like it, and if you don't believe that we have difficulty with different cultures, just listen to anything that is coming out on Twitter from some very important people in the United States. It's the trouble with diversity, different cultures. You live with it, you work with it, and it's a time to appreciate it. The three areas that I'd like to talk about are in dialogues. Dialogues about our gifts, dialogues about Augustinian values, and dialogues about Augustinian practices. And I want to thank Bishop Pizzone, because I was thinking, well, this is my look at things. But I found an affirmation in it in his homily when he made reference to the theme of the National Youth Day in the Philippines. The three thoughts of that, three themes are beloved, gifted, and empowered. Okay? Now, I think the first one, obviously, is gifted. Doesn't take much. But I think that when we talk about Augustinian values, to get at the heart of what our Augustinian values are, is something about understanding that we are beloved, and that our work as Augustinian educators is to be based on the heart, to tell students and all the people we work with, they are beloved as well. And then when I talk about the Augustinian practices dialogue, that is really about how we can empower teachers who aren't able to be here to continue these conversations when they are at home in ways that they might do across schools and across cultures. Now, this idea of gifted, this is my infographic that I use for talking about transformation and reflection in Augustine. I'll talk about the middle circle thing later. But here, I just like to make a quick reference to the outer shape. They tell me it is a rhombus. Those of you in mathematics may know that better than I do. But there is a shape around three things. And the three things are that Augustine had the gift of an ear for eloquence. That's why he cried at reading about Dido when he tells us that in the Confession, the death of Dido. He had a passionate curiosity, which is why it took him 33 years to get on the right track. And he had a genius for friendship. People followed him around, from Tagaste to Carthage, from Carthage to Rome, from Rome to Milan. So he had a little band of friends who came with him. I believe that those three gifts can be seen as converted when Augustine was converted. It was his gift of who he was that enabled him to be able to search for the truth, going from just eloquence to real meaning, from fake news to true news. A passionate curiosity is directing his will in love and the right way. And his genius for friendship becomes the unity he found in community. So after his conversion, those gifts came along with him, but they came along in a new way. And they also enabled him to understand his personal relationship with Jesus Christ. The search for the truth is Christ the teacher, which Bishop talked about today in his way, about Christ being within us, and getting connected to him. Christ the physician, the healer, who through love and mercy brings us forward in the right way. And the whole Christ, the totus Christus, where we are head and body with Christ. He got to know Christ in those personal relationship ways, which then helped him with his preaching and teaching. So part of our role as educators is to understand the role of Christ, as well as the role of gifts used in a converted, better way. One of the gifts you have in APAC is you have a unique Augustinian dialogue. You are both intercongregational and intercultural. 5, Federación Augustiniana Española, is intercongregational, but it is within Spain. So it doesn't have the same cultural things, although I'm sure the Spaniards will tell me about Basque area and Catalan and stuff, that it is intercultural. I'm not going to get in that argument. But it's not intercultural in the way that you are. So you need to understand that as a gift to you as you go about your work in Augustinian pedagogy. In addition, in your gifts, you are heirs to rich inheritances of each of your congregations. Each of your congregations was well into teaching and doing good educational work before we named the Augustinian values. And that enables you to have a good cross-fertilization, to hear what is coming from other groups and what they hear and be able to share it with one another. Those gifts, I think, also demand of you the need to add to the OSA Augustinian pedagogy materials. Again, you're talking about modules and other things, so people can see in concrete form. They can put their fingers on it. They can get a hold of it and then know what that means. Because too many people talk about love in too many different ways. Until you see it in concrete ways, you really don't know what it is. The church was talking about mercy long before Pope Francis. But his way of talking about it, his way of living it, has given us new and renewed looks at mercy than we've ever had before. And you have the gift of creativity. And I say that because you have limited resources. This is happening. I wonder when you can have the next one, because you have to go back to the bank and put money there in order to be able to come the next time. As we would say in the American culture, this is not a cheap date. But what are the ways that you can continue the conversations in creative ways, using technology or other types of ways in which people who are here can continue their conversations, and how people who are not here can be led, encouraged, using the youth term from the Philippines here, empowered. How can that happen? And you have the opportunity to do that and show the rest of us, with all of our resources, how we can do it better, more efficiently, and with better results. In gifts, again with APAC, I'll give an example in terms of things that I was unaware of. Which those of you in the Recollect tradition, this is everyday life. I had to go to Bogota, Colombia, with Father Andrew, to an education congress to meet Father Enrique Aguirre, a Recollect Augustinian, who teaches at the Augustiniana. He's got a doctorate in Augustinian theology and philosophy. But he also was there talking about multiple intelligences. I thought multiple intelligences were those things I was trained to talk about, and then I learned a bit about Augustine to make sense of it. And here is someone who is an expert on Augustine, who presents his ideas on multiple intelligences better than I could. And he can do it in English and Spanish. I wouldn't do well in Spanish. I understand it to an extent, but I don't speak it well. Then also, I think it was through the Villanova meeting, but I missed that session, that a teacher in one of our schools who's working on it in the United States, working on his doctorate, and wants to do stuff on Augustinian pedagogy, had come across this book, Bases Pedagogicas Augustinianas, which is published by the Augustinian Recollects back in 2017. If I weren't helping him with his approach to his dissertation, I wouldn't know anything about it. Father Andrew is helping him as well. But I come across this thing, which is part of a conversation among the Recollects. It's an opportunity in APAC because you are heir to that, as well as the OSA, the Consolacion sisters, all your other groups. All your traditions is to bring your stuff together and share it with one another. Because some stuff is out there, but we don't know about it because we live in our own little worlds. So I think that the intercultural questions, as a gift for you, is how does Asia understand Augustinian pedagogy? I know how I speak about it as a North American. And what I say makes perfectly good sense to me. I'm not sure anybody else knows what I'm saying. Even when I teach classes, I think it's 12% and all the rest of it, and I try to do things to figure out if the students are following me. Because they all know how to shake their heads, smile, because that way they won't be called on. So they know how to fake it, hoping sometime they'll figure me out. But how do the different cultures of different countries understand things? So we can talk about Asia as a whole, and that's one level, but we can talk about different cultures within Asia, and then how do the different cultures within countries understand Augustinian pedagogy? And there I would identify here in the Philippines the various languages and cultures within the Philippines hear things in different ways. how do those different things provide an opportunity to better understand, because we can hear things from someone else's perspective. That adds to my perspective if I can hear it. So my request of APAC is, please lead us to deepen our understanding of Augustinian pedagogy by exploring and sharing your uniqueness in service to us all. I think with all that you are doing, it is time for you to lead. I'll be very happy to follow, because I think there's so much I could learn from you. Now, dialoguing about Augustinian values, this idea of love. We all think we have it, and it's very good. We talk about them as the core values, the three. But are there 3, 10, or even 15? Because you can find 15 in what are called idearios. They're like calendars and books that kids in schools have from their school that have the mission and all those things. But they have an ideario that announces what the Augustinian values are, and it's usually in Spanish. It's usually 12 to 15. And I have been in those discussions where people try to say 3 is too few and 10 is too many, or 12 is too many, 15 is too many. I think all of those can intersect with each other to help us understand things. I think that worrying about how many is the wrong question. The right question is, how can Augustinian values help us to be better educators and to serve our students in the spirit of St. Augustine? So sometimes it might be good to think of the 10 or 15 to do better at being a teacher than to feel I'm perfect, I know what I'm doing, I know the 3. I can use the 3 because it only takes 3 fingers, only need 1 hand, and I can put things on each of the fingers and I'm fine, and now I can have lunch and I can do whatever I need to do. We're called to do things better for our students. We are called to love them, as the bishop said, to see them as beloved, see them as sacred, and for us to take that sacredness and be able to share it with one another. Augustinian values are a means, not an end. They're a way to help us along the way. They help us get to good teaching. They help us to get to good situations. They help us to better model Augustinian identity and Augustinian thinking. They're a lens to view things through. Now, I hope this is visual enough, but in a certain sense, if you look, there is a small circle in red and a large circle in red overlying one of the Augustinian symbols. Because there are ways to get to that symbol. There are ways to get to that heart. There are ways to see that symbol enlivened, to see that symbol moving us forward. That we have the heart to do the education we're supposed to do. Now, if you look at the center circle, that might be viewed as the values of this Congress. They're the values of truth, unity, and love. That's a focus, core look at things, which is very helpful because it gets you right to the heart of things. You don't focus on that book, you focus on the heart. The book's good to be there, but you focus on the heart. Now, the 3 values can be seen as positive because they lead us to focus. So in addition to calling them core values, I would also say we could call them focus values. Negative they may be culturally or linguistically bound. I ask the question, are they shaped by the English-speaking mind? We like precise words. Like on standardized tests, you give it choices. Two of the choices are, what is the best statement? Proceed or proceed forward. And then they give two others. If you put proceed forward, you get it marked wrong. Because of the belief that the word proceed includes forward. That's the way the English mind thinks. It's a strange way of thinking. But it's one, obviously, I've learned to live with. But if Argo's focus on three is because we English-speaking people in places like the United States can't handle 10. We can only use one hand. We can't go to the second hand. And we can't go to the 12 or 15 because then we have to count our toes. So is it because of our mindset that we have three, which help us? But then how can we look at things beyond that? Going back to the circle, we can look at the outer circle, which is more expansive. It's pulling the whole thing together, not the center, but the whole thing, bringing that fullness that isn't necessarily found by focusing on the center. Focusing on the center is good, but we also need the fullness. As the psychologists tell us, we need a gestalt, a way of understanding the whole thing in order to be able to move forward. Those of you, I don't know if you use the same things we do in the United States for elementary school reading, but there is a phonetic approach and a whole language approach. Whole language is the gestalt. And then phonetic is a focus. And some kids do well with the focus, and some kids do well with the gestalt. And neither of them, they estimate, handle about 80% of the students. So my thing is, if you're using whole language and you get to 80, for remediation for the 20%, use phonetics. If you're using phonetics and you get to 80% and you want to do remediation for the other 20%, use whole language. Because they probably think differently. So we have to look at the differences. If we look at Albert Esmeralda's Augustinian values, which is well known here in the Philippines, there are 10 of them. And yes, they can relate to the three, but isn't there a level on which they tell us so much more? So when we go look at the three, and then we want to see, are we covering enough? Maybe we need to go to the 10 and look at those and see, did we miss a piece? Is there something not there? Now, probably in the Spanish-speaking, they would separate number 4, they would make this 12. Because 4 would become 2 of them, and 8 would become 2 of them. So they would look at that as 12, because they see it in the larger perspective. In the 10 to 15 values, positive leads to expansive thinking. Again, negative, culturally, linguistically bound, possibly. My question, are they shaped as we have them in the Augustinian OSA tradition by the Spanish-speaking mind? And even the 5 use the 10 and 12. Is it part of how we think and our minds work? So then I would ask the question, isn't Esmeralda challenging us in an Asia-specific way? Is he on to something here? Do the 3 values help cultures in the Asia-Pacific to fully understand Augustinian ways of teaching and learning? Or are there other ways to understand Augustinian values that help various cultures? How can people best hear what we're talking about? What are the lenses they need? And taking from what we have, what works, and they may tell us more. We may need to make this 20. because the cultures of Asia identify 5 core that they see in Augustine. So my request for APAC is once again, lead us. Lead us to deepen our understanding of Augustinian values by exploring and sharing your various cultural experiences in service to us all. I would like to learn more by hearing about your cultural experiences that give different insights that expand my Augustinian way of thinking, so that I can be sitting out there rather than standing up here. And all of that, in looking at the Augustinian values, I remind you, is about each of us being beloved. The people we teach and work with are beloved, and therefore the values become a way to love them, and we understand that when we see that love working out. Now, in terms of empowerment, the dialogues about Augustinian practice. I would like to offer Augustinian spirituality, Augustinian interiority, as a spur to dialogue, as a way to learn about our gifts and a way of sharing our gifts. AI, Augustinian interiority, is our secret weapon. In the technological world, we have Augustinian interiority. We may not need artificial intelligence. So when they say AI, fine. Let's go with our AI. Augustinian interiority. Augustine tells us on true religion, do not stay outside yourself, but enter within, since the truth dwells in the interior person. Therefore, step to where the light of reason is lit. This section of On True Religion has led both 2 Spaniards, Miguel Angel Pella and Francisco Galende, to develop what they identify as 4-step processes to do Augustinian spirituality. And that's in some of the books on Augustinian spirituality published by the Generalate of the OSA Augustinians. Those 3 books, as I call them. Now, I have done something a little bit different. I have developed an Augustinian reflection circle which gets to the same processes, but I get to it from my understanding of the writings of St. Augustine, the way he wrote, and understanding that his ways of writing were ways of him processing his ideas. So you have dialogues, sermons, letters. These were ways in which he dialogued with people he didn't even meet. So when you worry about whether you can do stuff in our technological age, which can enable people across cultures to talk with each other, recognize that Augustine was able to have extensive correspondence with people he never met in countries, or parts of countries he didn't live in. He did live in Italy, but not in the place that Paulinus of Nola lived in. And so he had these extensive conversations in a time when there wasn't even technology. So why can't we do it? But that gave him a lived experience of dialoguing with people. Also, virtually every one of his major works was written because someone asked him to write it. Now, I want to know what the person who asked him and the people who pushed him to finish it thought about the book, The Trinity, when it was done. Did they get what they asked for? Because it's a very difficult book to read. So I'm not sure their question was answered, but Augustine did his best. But he always was writing for someone else. So we have that lived experience. But then we are called to reflect on it. That's going into the silence, going into the quiet and the meditation, the reflection. We can see that best in his writing the soliloquies. He invented the style of writing, and he invented the name of it. So we might not have a soliloquy from Hamlet if Augustine hadn't written the soliloquy. He invents the name of it because there was no other way for him to write about his experience. It didn't fit into any of the other genres of literature, so he created a genre of literature for it. And then besides reflection, we have the reconsiderations, which is found in the book called the Consolacion. That is a book in which he goes through all of his writings in order of their writing and reflects on whether they should be changed or not. Some people call it the revision, but it doesn't revise everything. So I think Henry Chadwick is best correct at saying that it is the reconsideration. And here you evaluate what you meditated on, what you found, and how that relates to what you already know. And again, in the great considerations, he invents another form of writing. So there are two forms of writing he invents. And then the confessions, where he shares and presents his experiences after meditating on them and evaluating them, and he puts them together. And that evaluation leads him to a writing that is not chronological. It is not an autobiography. At best, it's a memoir. It's a prayer. But he writes that in order to share his thoughts, because people have asked him to share those thoughts. And then that brings him back to the lived experience, to start over again, and to work through it. But the Confessions is also a form of literature that he invented. So here we have three forms of literature he invented. And one, the dialogue, sermons, letters, he used the genres he already had. They worked because they fit what he was doing. But here he has these other things, and I think they tell us how he thought. And I think they're also a way to help people think about reflecting on their pedagogical work. In terms of dialogues about Augustinian practice, the possibility of using this framework or any other to build on. Dialogues about practice taught culturally, so that we can use some common tools in order to build communities of practice. People who teach in similar ways being able to talk with one another. We don't need to remake everybody, but we need to find how people are alike and have them be able to talk with one another about their Augustinian practices, not only within schools, but across schools and across cultures. Here, we're going to take a moment to look at dialogue, sermons, lived experience elements of this. In the AI dialogue of lived experience, Augustine tells us, "My soul found all manner of joy when I was in their company, to talk and to laugh and to be kind to each other, to read engaging books together and to go from the lightest joking to talk of the deepest things and back again, to differ without discord, as I might differ with myself, and when on the rarest occasion disagreement arose, to find it highlights the sweetness of our normal agreement, to teach or to learn from each other, to be patient for those absent and welcome them with joy when they return. These and similar things emanating from our hearts as we gave and received affection, shown in our faces, our voices, our eyes, and 1,000 other gratifying ways, ignited a flame which fused our very souls together and made the many of us one." This is from the Confessions, Augustine talking about his learning community. So being able to create communities of practice where people can share things, read a book together, discuss it, whatever, in order to be able to move their Augustinian pedagogy forward. Where are our Augustinian pedagogy dialogues? It's time to stop having me up here. It's time to be having dialogues here and in the larger Asia-Pacific area. How are we learning from one another's practices? We repeatedly Augustinian values enough. We may come back to them a little bit, but we don't need to keep repeating them. We need to move to practice. How are we interchanging outside of congresses? Again, they're not cheap dates, so they hold us back from dialoguing on as regular basis as we would like. There should be a time for bringing those conversations together. And how might the internet help us to build additional dialogues? Ways in which that can work for sure. Here we are now in the AI of soliloquy meditation, reflection. Listen to the voice of truth in reflection and in silence so that you're able to understand it. In a world of noise, can we give up our cell phones? Now, I say that honestly as an instructional technologist, thanking the instructional technologists here who are helping us. But during Mass, when I had that thought, heard the thought from the bishop about beloved, gifted, empowered, I wanted to take out my cell phone to jot it down. And thankfully, the idea it would make a lousy picture held me back. We just have that thing, we're controlled by these things, and we need to find silence in order to reflect. And we need to give teachers silent time for them to reflect. So instead of adding in another thing to do, maybe we should add in time to think. The soliloquy should model Augustine's inner reflection and dialogue for teachers to reflect on. Because as he tells us in the soliloquies, let me know myself, let me know you. Notice he doesn't say, let me know you, let me know myself. Because he understands that if he knows himself, his gifts, the way he is, the way he's created in the image and likeness of God, because that's what our gifts are, how we are created in the image and likeness of God, then he will better be able to know God. Because he's had those gifts and they led him to the personal relationship with Christ the teacher, Christ the physician, and the whole Christ. He got to know God really as his personal friend and companion. How can APAC foster common reflections among communities of Augustinian practice? How can that be done for you to think about within schools? How can there be times when you can do it across schools? So you're reflecting on the same things, same questions. Schools of different congregations, across schools of different cultures. So we can hear multiple things coming out as we go into our reconsiderations. Here again is for reflection and evaluation. And Augustine tells us, use knowledge as a kind of scaffolding to help build the structure of love and understanding. It's not building the structure of the library. It's the structure of love and understanding, which will last forever even after knowledge destroys itself. Knowledge is useful when it is used to promote love. Again, back to the values and the target on the heart and love. But it becomes useless, even harmful, if it is separated from such an end. Isn't ending in love, it's going in the wrong direction. He also tells us to reach a high spot, you need a ladder. To get to the height of greatness, use the ladder of humility. Never think you are too learned. You always need to learn. That's why I'm hoping to listen in the next several days to hear more things, so I can add things to my learning about and meeting and having wonderful conversations with Father Enrique, Arte, and even learning about that book about Augustinian Pedagogy from the Bacolod, other things I can add to this to expand my knowledge and understanding. We need to be reconsidering what we're doing. We get to a certain point, look at it again, and think of how we can move forward. In scaffolding and ladders, we're building. You walk down the street, you see scaffolding, you wonder what they're building. When I worked at Merrimack College, we were in between building buildings, and the admissions director thought that she might buy a bulldozer and put it out front. Because if people saw the bulldozer, they thought something new was happening. Even if you weren't building anything. You see the scaffolding, you think it's a building. Love should be a part of our evaluation. How are we practicing love? I know you have all the reports you have to do for the government and everybody else who wants something, but we as Augustinians should be talking about how all of this ends up in love, rather than a bunch of papers in someone's file. Humility, commitment to ongoing learning and formation. That ongoing learning and formation is an Augustinian value commitment in all of our schools. And we should think of Augustine's gardens. He had, I think it was 8 gardens in his life that were very important to his decision making. We should do some intellectual gardening. Sometimes pulling the weeds, sometimes planting new plants, sometimes pouring some water on the plants so they continue to live, but gardening our experience of Augustinian values. Because something may help us to get to a certain place, and we don't have to keep doing it. We can do something else, because it got us to the place where we can do the new things. So we don't have to keep doing that. Be thankful for it, but now that it's time to harvest it, it's time to move on. How can APAC foster a culture of welcoming reconsideration of past practices through communities of practice? How can that be done within schools, across schools of different congregations, across schools of different cultures? I know I'm being a bit repetitious with these 4 things, but you have the opportunity to do all 4 of these things, which other areas of Augustinian education do not have the gifts of. Some of us in the United States are stuck just within school, and maybe a little bit across schools. But we don't have the different congregations or the different cultures. And lastly, confessions, sharing our visions and our plans. Augustine tells us, search in ways by which we can make discoveries, and discover in ways by which we can keep on searching. So the only value in anything that is discovered for Augustine if it helps you to keep on searching. Otherwise, it's just a nice thing. In a contemporary corollary, Larissa Paulson has said, for student reflection to be meaningful, it must be metacognitive, applicable, and shared with others. So if our teachers are going to do good Augustinian pedagogy, then they need to have a metacognitive understanding, they must have applied it, and have shared it with others, for it to be truly meaningful. For Augustinian pedagogy, dialogues to be shared, confessed, because the confessions is a sharing. They must lead dialoguers to not only know, but to know what they know and how they know it. So you know what you know, and then you know how you know it. Metacognitive. To apply new learning to past understandings and future directions. So when you learn something, how does that look related to what you already know? Have you maybe need to change, and how does that take you to the future? Applicable. And to be challenged to share, present what they learn to others. When you're talking about adding to the research, please do not underrate sharing practices. That's our educator research. But sometimes people do dissertations and write about it, but there's also the need for those hands-on pieces of things that people have learned, know about, and can write a little bit about to share. So my request of APAC is, again, please lead us to deepen our Augustinian interiority by using it as a sacred means to reflect on our practice of Augustinian pedagogy in order to serve God in better ways. Then the question for you, I think, is sort of three questions. How can APAC take this Asia-Pacific moment to lead the Augustinian family to deeper understanding of the richness of our gifts? Because I have made a case that you have more gifts than some of the rest of us. You can show us and lead us in understanding our richness. How can you lead the Augustinian family practice of Augustinian interiority and our reflections on our practice of Augustinian pedagogy? There's not a distinction between formation and education. Augustinian interiority gives us a way to be able to reflect in the process of understanding our teaching, and when we help people do that, we are forming them as good teachers, not just giving them tools. And how can you lead the Augustinian family to build intercongregational and intercultural communities of practice for us to all know that Augustine and Augustinian pedagogy and Augustinian theology and philosophy is not owned by one congregation. It's owned by all of us, and you can help us understand it. And in conclusion, this won't be the speaker, but are there any immediate pressing questions or observations? I know there's a question time, but sometimes people don't know the
Anybody who would like to throw questions to Father Gary?
or just an insight. Or, whatever you want to do.
I have a question. Father.
Sure.
Where can we get a copy of your PowerPoint?
Funny you should ask. Hold on a second. Press the button here. Okay. It will be put up on the URL here at the bottom. www.augustinianpedagogy, one word, all lowercase, .org. The only thing standing in the way of finding that is spelling Augustinian pedagogy. As all of us know, we make those mistakes. But it's out there, it will be out there. Now, I will also be creating this in a more written form than the PowerPoint. But my purpose in sticking to the PowerPoint was that I wouldn't be reading a paper to you, because I don't get as animated reading papers. So I figured I would write the paper, and then possibly from the questions that show up at the question time and things people get to think about it, I may add things to this based on answering the question that was asked that I recorded. The PowerPoint will both be available, this one and the other one on my website, which has other people's things like Father Andrew's dissertation and other Augustinian pedagogy materials.
Okay. We have another question there.
Sure.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning.
My name is Fray Jose Alder Dalipid from the Order of Augustinian Recollects. My question is, in a nutshell, and for the benefit of our lay collaborators here, what is Augustinian pedagogy?
Augustinian pedagogy is teaching in the ways that implement the Augustinian values. So it is not a separate way of teaching. It is a way of looking at teaching and what types of things you could use to be able to teach. Now, I believe up on the website, but it's in that basic elements of Augustinian pedagogy, there is a chapter in that I wrote which talks about how you look at specific things. But I use the example from today. Your prior, Enrique, Aguirre, is talking about multiple intelligences. That's Howard Gardner, who I believe possibly is a non-believer. I don't know if he's a believer or not. That doesn't matter in this case. But he's taken that and looked at it from an Augustinian perspective. So it's the way you look at things. It's a lens to look at things, not a separate way of teaching that you have to throw out everything you learn in teacher education. Because I'm able to do this, I think, in ways that make sense to people because I have been in teacher education for almost 40 years. So I know all those things, the tools, the tricks, everything else with that, but I'm able to look at them from an Augustinian perspective.
Thank you, Fry. Anybody from Colegio San Agustin Bacolod, our largest delegation for today? From LCC Bacolod?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I just want to ask, I will introduce myself. I am Mrs. Pinila Tangal from the University of San Agustin University, Sambag Extension. I would like to ask Father, how could we integrate Augustinian values in our class? How could we integrate?
Well, I think one of the things is to look at what you are already doing and get an idea of those things, and to look at how much you're conveying some knowledge, a truth, what parts of it, so that you then make sure that you're presenting it as best as possible and as clearly as possible for the students to know the truth. Is in terms of your classroom, seeing it as a community, not just a group of students or a group of groups, but seeing it as a community and building up, and to make sure that the students who are kind of pushed out of the circle and center are brought in and included, so that you're inclusive of the diversity of your classroom, and that you do this looking at things not from the technical standpoint, but from the standpoint of love. So if you look at those three things as a start, and then that will open up other things. So what other, okay, you need something to bring those students who are not brought into the group by the other students. What tools can you use to make that happen in order to have an Augustinian community in your classroom? That will open it up because you're looking at it and saying, this is not the community I want it to be. What techniques can I use in teaching to help that happen?
Some more questions? Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Kinder from CSA Makati. Hi, Father Gary. It's good to see you. It's not really a question, but it's more of a suggestion because I've been hearing Father Gary speak about dialogue, sharing of best practices, etc. And I also look forward to hearing from the different Augustinian schools about their best practices. Perhaps it would be good to use the online platform. Let's create a group here. I'm not promoting a specific platform like Schoology or Google Classroom or Edmodo. Let's create a platform or a group wherein we can continue the dialogue even if the conference is already over. Like if there's a concern from, let's say, CSA Makati, I will post a question in that group, and anyone from the different schools can answer. So it's really the sharing of best practices will not stop here or in this conference. The sharing of best practices will continue. So that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I would take that a step further. I'm in total agreement with what you're saying. But I also think it may be good if there are ways that you can find what the interests of people are. like areas of particular interest, and people gather around that area of interest and do exactly what you're saying. Because people, if you need it for the large questions, but other things, people may fall off of it because there hasn't been a question for a while that's direct to them and they don't have an answer. But if they're interested in something else, that they can do, certain types of how you form community in the classroom, ways in which you, in this fake news world, how we teach truth, and ways that people are trying to do that in their classroom and the difficulties they have. If you could identify those, so those people can come together on a platform. And it doesn't have to be the same platform that the other is on. You do whatever you can to find the platforms that best work for you. And then if there are people who aren't on that platform, then, let's say CSA Makati has one, and that works, and a lot of people can join it. Then maybe for those schools that don't have it, that you can give access to someone to be able to participate in that, so their school doesn't have to buy another thing for that particular conversation. That you can let individuals and give permission to individuals, not the whole universe. Because I know the security issues.
Along the line, Father, we at the traditional school will come together as a basic Christian community. We come together as a group and then read lines of some scriptures and then talk about it and share our faith life experiences along that line. If we can embrace this kind of, gathering together along the Augustinian direction, perhaps this will enrich our life as well as our practices in school.
I don't think you need to change that for it to be Augustinian, because Augustine always taught scripture. That's how he understood things. He knew the scriptures, so he was talking to people about them all the time. So using a base community, if you understand it, that you're trying to do it as an Augustinian practice, you don't have to change anything. You just have to understand it as a way that Scripture gave Augustine the language with which to speak about things. And so you're needing the language. But then there could be a group across schools that talks about this basic community approach, because the thing that's beautiful about it, it's accessible. In Latin America, people who don't read can be part of this. So in terms of, you don't need any advanced skills other than the heart to listen to the scriptures and discuss it and hear from each other, which Augustine was doing in silence.
It's interesting that we're talking about this now, Father, because probably one of the hardest things that the teacher face when talking to the students is to really get their attention into listening to that voice within when they're drawn by the louder noise of their computers and their gadgets. In your interaction with other educators, what do they do to get the students to become more interior and reflective about their experiences?
Well, I don't think we're doing enough anyplace. However, one of the schools that I just finished my time as a board member, or trustees member, Malvern Prep in Pennsylvania, the head of school who came there 3 years ago, had wanted to do it at his previous school, but didn't have a large enough chapel. This chapel sits all the students, and they go to homeroom, and then the first thing they do is go to chapel as a whole school for quiet and reflection. Now, getting from homeroom and getting back into the rest of the schedule is a total of 15 minutes. So you're really talking about 5 minutes of quiet, which is run by the students. So they present the things to reflect on, and it needs to be spiritual, and some of them lead it and actually get a religion credit for it by doing that under 2 faculty members. For the celebration of the 50th anniversary of my class graduating from that high school, we went there and they asked me to do the reflection. So I was able to ask the students, how do you organize this? I found it and put my thoughts within that. But to find places. Now, maybe you can't gather together, but you also find times to make your announcements. Why not have a short period of time at the beginning of the day to do that? And it's had an effect of quieting down the students at that high school. Because they start in quiet. They get an experience quiet. Now, it's running very nicely now. Little rough on the edges at the beginning last year. So you need some time to let it work, so the students can rise to that occasion. In one of our high schools in South Jersey, where this person had been before, somebody else before, they started in silence before Mass. There are 2 minutes of silence before Mass. The students stop each other from talking because it's time to have silence. They're enjoying it because they live in a world of noise. And so they're looking in many ways to find that, but we have to provide them the opportunity. So look at spaces in your schedule, look at spaces that might be able to be used so that they get it on a consistent basis and it becomes part of their doing. Then the teacher can use it better in the classroom because they're already prepared to pause and think. And there's a whole literature out there on mindfulness in terms of discipline in schools.
My father Tito's opinion from Players University. Father Gary, I'm kind of curious that you kind of juxtapose Augustinian inferiority and artificial intelligence. I don't know if you're going to say something more on that on your last talk.
I think the only reason, I have to be honest with you, the only reason was at one point I made a note to myself, Augustinian inferiority, put down AI, and then I realized that most of the time I come across that as artificial intelligence. So, I felt as if I accident.
But I felt too that you might probably be saying more than what you're saying. I have a feeling that Augustinian spirituality might indeed be the substitute or an answer to artificial intelligence, which is one of the major concerns of our 21st century situation.
I don't think it necessarily has to replace it, but it can give you an awful lot of depth. It doesn't, if artificial intelligence robs us. Okay. How many things do you now not do because your phone does it for you? That you can't remember how to do. You have to pause. Things that you used to do easily that you can't do anymore because the phone or the computer has taken over it for you. So there's things we've lost. Also, now like the bishop, I'm forgetting something. I told him I thanked him for forgetting because it made me feel good. Multitasking, because I was trying, in my head it kept coming at multiple intelligence, multitasking, utter nonsense. Yes, you can do many things, but you don't do them deep. You do them wide. So there's no depth. That's why the students have trouble with the deep, because they don't have any depth. So Augustinian interiority can help them go deep while they are in a world that goes wide. But I may adjust what I'm going to talk on Wednesday to include that in. Thank you for that insight.
Makes it easier.
Hello, Father. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is not a question, but I am happy to pick up what you have told us a while ago, pointing out that the point of Father Esmeralda. So in terms of numerical numbers of Augustinian values, for me personally, it doesn't matter. Having 15, 10, or 3. What would matter was for me is how we can translate the Augustinian values that for me personally, it occurs, they might be the abstract, but how to put into practice in concrete and be integrated in whatever syllabus that we have in this course. It's not a question of very so many things. I do believe that's right. Anyway, I'm not I don't belong to the artificial intelligence. I'm a human being. I cannot be questioned that I know so many things because I know, the more I know, the more I do not know. What is the first thing is not to put into practice simply taking the three values, the unitas, the veritas, and the veritas. So, I'm just trying to educate everyone. If we could really discuss this, not only in terms of blah, 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 says bomba, then after that, no more. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because the very important points in there is when I see up here that you want more research, I hear abstract. We may need a bit more abstract, but it's good for us, as you're saying, to get practice. That's the research we need to see. Where people have practiced in the classroom, tried it out, and they have found. It's called action research. Those types of things are what we should be adding so people can see it and feel it and get it out of our head into the lives of students and they know their beloved Bible.
And this would connect myself. You mean education about in terms of teaching the whole language,
Yes.
which is because originated in New Zealand. It's being practiced now in the world. I don't know if it's beginning now in the Philippines. So it's from there, taking the multi-intelligences plus the whole language theory, but really, even from the kindergarten or from the elementary, in terms of expressing oneself, capability to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Father, it's also a very interesting point, and it brings me back to what I read from David Brooks. He wrote a book called The Road to Character, and he said something like, we now live in a world where we encourage competition and less of honest self-confrontation. And as a teacher, that makes me reflect about what kind of activities we give our students actually. And the bishop today made a very good point about education, not only just about winning competitions or being superior academically or in sports or in talent, but it's something bigger than just competition. What do you think about schools now in the way they encourage students to achieve, but at the same time, less about making them compete with each other, but making them recognize that each has multiple intelligence and each has a unique gift that God has given them?
I think we have to be careful about achievement because in order to measure achievement, you need to know where the end is. And if we don't know what the jobs of young men and women graduating from university will be in 10 years, how in God's name can we set achievement goals that will be meaningful? Because we'll have them achieve on what will be passed 10 years from now. So we should be teaching them how to keep learning and moving and understand and discover what they need to do when one job ends and you have to find another. In terms of character, I love David Brooks' work, but I think as Augustinian educators, we need to do character plus. Because character can be kind of non-spiritual. I don't think he means it that way, but it can be. Where then we have the characteristics of character. And if you got all of them and you check them off, you have a good character. But we should be teaching our students spiritual dimensions, how to make ethical decisions. If people knew how to make ethical decisions, we would not be in the mess we're in today, across the globe. It's not a comment about the Philippines. I'm having flashes of the United States. The people knew how to make ethical decisions, but unfortunately they don't. It's interesting that in Google, they had the statement, do no evil. Well, doing no evil is not doing good. And someone has written to criticizing them with a book now out called Don't Be Evil. Because they're living in a world of evil. That's what they're worried about, I think, where you're not looking at good. As long as it's not evil, then they don't have to do it. The housing crisis that created all the economic crisis were people thinking they weren't doing anything evil. But they never asked the question, were they doing anything good? And we need to teach our students to answer those questions so that when they're able to go out, they're able to be personally fulfilled and personally achieving in good ways for the long term. Thank you.
Good morning, Father. I am Fry James Tumangabang of the Augustinian Recollects. In the Philippine system of education, competition, rewarding and recognition is one of the most awaited activity within the school year. That's why instead of teaching, even parents, I should say, are so much engrossed with that reward or recognition of their children. Sometimes parents would want to receive the award or the academic recognition or award of their children instead of children. Their children. I think it's true. If not all the schools, 95 schools in the Philippines, 95% of the schools in the Philippines. How about in the US? In fact, as promoters of these Augustinian values on education, how is it in your school?
We face the same difficulty. We live in, however much you think your culture is overwhelmed with this, you're not in our league. Everybody gets an award. Now the young woman is now in her 30s, with children of her own. A friend of mine, daughter, was in kindergarten. And when she was in kindergarten, everybody had to get an award. So she ended up getting the award for most improved napping. She learned how to sleep better because she was active and wasn't laying down. So she finally got an award. That was the one because at award night, everybody had to get an award. So after a while, the awards were meaningless. They should only be meaningful if they help us understand what we're doing. If schools, I see through Facebook, you identify what percent passed what exam. And that's good if you want to get more students. But the question is, do those people who pass those exams end up being good medical technicians, good nurses, good lawyers, good whatever? But then somehow there aren't awards yet for those. But looking at it is you do that, but seeing that only as a means to get to doing better teaching. If you get everybody to pass, and you aren't doing better teaching, then it's not Augustinian values with that. And we're struggling with that because in our high schools, because they're private, not government supported, there is an expectation that every student goes to university. So then you get the problem, are they going to the best universities? How important are those? And we set goals that people have the percentage of your students have to get into the top 50 universities in the United States. Or the head of school is finding a new job. So we're struggling with that, and we have not done well with it because we live in this award competition role as a country.
since you are a pioneer, I do not know if you are the pioneer in the implementation of the Augustinian pedagogy, which you have said it's teaching according to the Augustinian values. Is there a research being done by your school showing the correlation of the academic excellence or the achievement of students in terms of academic excellence and excellence in terms of their values?
No, there's not yet. We're still in the infancy stage on this. In fact, we're now, things are going where it is in terms of practice and the way things are going. A leader in this is Father Andrew, and his dissertation is the first time I've seen anybody study how leaders use or implement the Augustinian values, whether they think about them or not, and looking at it and how people around them see them as doing that, and what are the areas where there can be improvements. There is a person, I mentioned that student who's working on his dissertation. He's looking at working with teachers based on some programs in the United States of introducing the Augustinian values. What do the people understand? What is it, afterwards, what is it they're doing, and how would they like to be helped to do things better? So we're still at that stage, which then can lead into what you're talking about. But if you never get to what we're talking about, all the rest of this is nonsense. Because it's about students, not about teachers per se, not about school leaders per se. But sometimes you have to make sure that the stuff is happening in the school, happening in the classroom, before you can measure it. Great question.
Thank you. Very good question.
And actually something I would encourage someone in the Philippines to study.
And great answer too. So it's not just about being number one anymore, but what meaning do students find in passing the board exams or not passing the board exams? We'll have one more question.
Good morning, Father Gary and Father Perks from the University of San Agustin. My question is this. In the Philippines, we have this association of Catholic schools, and it's called the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines. And this association came up with what they call the Philippine Catholic School Standards. And in that particular document, with several domains, you have, you can see the values that we have as Augustinians: truth, unity, and charity. So if we have this document, which is the standard for all Catholic schools, so it seems that all Catholic schools in the Philippines really have these values of truth. So my question is, as an expert in Augustinian pedagogy, what do you think is that characteristic that will truly make us different from other Catholic schools as Augustinians, not just carrying the name of Augustine or being run by Augustinian sisters and friars?
Is one of the ways that you would be sharing with your Catholic school teacher peers would be talking about those standards from an Augustinian perspective. So you're looking at them from your values, not just because someone wrote these things up and said, to keep the name Catholic, you need to do these things. You're doing them because it helps your Augustinian direction. In management terms, it helps your Augustinian brand. So you're more than Catholic, you're Augustinian. And that you're doing it for the deeper piece of it than just the general vanilla flavor Catholicism. It's by the Augustinian, and then you can look to Augustine and look at different dimensions of it rather than just take it head on. So talk about it as doing Augustinian things. How those things relate to other pieces that you see of Augustinian values. That's exactly the same as the answer I gave earlier, is to look at the things from the perspective of Augustinian values. So look at that and talk about it and evangelize your non-Augustinian school friends in Catholic schools to think in Augustinian ways. That they're better off because they've had a conversation with you about it from an Augustinian perspective. And I wasn't joking about the question about the students. be great. A lot of you are working on educational management. Please do master's theses and dissertations on how students are benefiting from it. We need that. The rest of the world needs that.
So, Father Gary, what I heard from your talk this morning is the challenge you have posed to APAC. Because you said that APAC is intercongregational and intercultural, and so APAC has the capability to lead the dialogue of gifts, dialogue of Augustinian values, and dialogue of best practices. And this, I think, challenge is also a dream for us in the APAC. And with our chair in the Commission on Education, and together with the board, I think this is something we will bring back when we go to our board meeting, because we are preparing for the next conference and convention in 2020. So I think the questions that you have posed will help us in the reflection on how we can take this lead. But I know it's a big lead because it's really true that APAC is composed of different congregations and different nationalities and nations. And so APAC can be a very rich ground for leading in educational purposes, especially in Augustinian values. And what I pick up there is, what is the plus that we are offering is that interiority that we have to awaken in each and every student we have in us. Thank you.
One thing I would say, sister, I love the use of the word dream. Is that you need to do it at a dream level in order to make the individual steps along the way. If it's a strategic plan, without a dream, it's going nowhere. You may have your plans, but it's because you have your dream. Thank you.
I'm here the last. I'm in the Consolacion College, Bacolod. I'd like to share, Father Gary, that regarding Augustinian interiority, having a dialogue seems here. Dialogue with different stakeholders in Consolacion College. I have seen how we celebrate our Augustinian values, especially with the students who are LGBTQ. When I say LGBTQ, they have sex change. They seem initially to be very defensive. But once we admitted them in the adult education primarily, because we have an expanded tertiary education accreditation equivalency program, that's a mouthful, but it's an accredited program of higher education, to which the students are within our school. And most of them, a few of them are LGBTQ. And somehow, by admitting them in school, they're no longer conscious about their LGBTQ gender. They're more on celebrating in sharing their knowledge and expertise in their respective fields. And we also provided things for them to journey their academic journey well during their vacation, to which they were allowed to comfortably attire in accordance with them. However, many ask this. I would always hear some concerns like, it is in their school,